Despite all this, no confirmed trace was found. Each search day ended with more questions and answers. Yet the RCMP insisted that progress was being made, not necessarily through discovery, but through the gradual elimination of possibilities. Every tip ruled out brought investigators a step closer to understanding what truly happened on that quiet morning in May. The scale of the operation had become enormous. But so had the weight of what remained unsolved. As the search for Lilly and Jack stretched into its 5th month, frustration and grief began to merge into something heavier, a kind of collective exhaustion that spread across Nova Scotia and beyond. For the Sullivan family, every passing day felt like a lifetime. Their home, once filled with laughter and morning routines, now stood as a haunting reminder of all that was lost. The RCMP continued to describe both the children's mother, Ashley Sullivan, and her partner, Daniel Martel, as cooperative. They had been interviewed multiple times and, according to official statements, were assisting investigators whenever needed. But in the court of public opinion, patience was wearing thin. Online discussions swelled with speculation, theories, and frustration over the lack of answers. Some people accused the police of moving too slowly, while others blamed the family for not speaking more publicly. Community divisions deepened. Supporters organized vigils and prayer walks, hanging pink and blue ribbons across fences and telephone poles. Others voiced anger at how the investigation seemed to stall after the initial wave of searches. Many wondered if more could have been done sooner, if something vital had slipped through the cracks. Through it all, RCMP spokespeople maintained a steady tone. They urged the public not to spread unverified claims and reminded everyone that misinformation could harm the investigation. Each briefing ended with the same message. The search for truth takes time, and evidence, not emotion, will determine what happened. Yet for many residents of Lansdowne Station, that was difficult to accept. When weeks turned into months without clear progress, hope began to waver. But amid the silence, a deep sense of unity remained. The community that had once gathered daily to search the forests now gathered to support one another, bound by a shared heartbreak and an unspoken question. How could 2 children simply disappear? The absence of answers became its own kind of presence, a shadow over every conversation, every sleepless night, every prayer whispered into the wind. The late September search marked a turning point in this investigation. For months, every sound in the woods, every faint shape in the trees, seemed like it could hold an answer. But when RCMP officers arrived that morning, leading 2 highly trained cadaver dogs through 40 kilometers of dense, uneven terrain, the air was heavy, not with excitement, but with quiet desperation. These dogs, capable of detecting the faintest traces of human scent even through water or soil, were the strongest tool yet brought into this case. Their handlers combed through trails, back roads, and the open field near the pipeline corridor, a place that had drawn attention months earlier when a pink blanket was discovered. That blanket, small and soft, had once been thought to belong to Lilly. But after forensic testing and witness cross-referencing, police could not confirm a match. Still, that patch of ground became sacred to searchers, a place of both hope and heartbreak. And yet, after days of methodical searching, the result was the same. No trace, no scent, no closure. The RCMP released their findings with care, stating that the absence of detection doesn't mean the children aren't there, only that nothing was found in those particular zones. It was a kind of update no one wanted to hear, but everyone needed to understand. Behind the scenes, investigators continued working in silence. Digital forensic teams analyzed cloud data, home security footage, and even cell phone pings from the region. Each frame, each timestamp was a potential clue. In the community, that silence became deafening. Hope and grief lived side by side. Candles lit on porches, posters still pinned to trees, families whispering prayers. Even now, officers say the investigation is far from over. Leads are still being verified. And as one RCMP spokesperson said quietly, every search brings us closer, even when it brings no answers. Even after months of silence, the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan has never truly stopped. What began as a desperate rescue effort has now become a relentless pursuit of truth, one that stretches across time, terrain, and heartbreak. As the leaves began to turn this October, the RCMP issued another quiet but emotional statement. They acknowledged the weight of the past months, the exhaustive searches, the public frustration, the silence from leads that once seemed promising. Yet, they reaffirmed something that remains constant. The case is still active. Every piece of data, every digital file, every single witness statement continues to be reviewed. The RCMP's Major Crime Unit, aided by the Forensic Identification Section and Digital Services teams, remain involved daily, a sign that this investigation is still open, not forgotten. But beyond the formal updates, what truly speaks louder is the atmosphere left behind in Lansdowne Station. The forests that once echoed with the sound of ATVs and search teams have fallen quiet. In driveways, weather-worn posters of Lilly and Jack still flutter in the wind, their smiling faces reminders of two children who, for their community, symbolize innocence stolen far too soon. For the family, the silence is unbearable. Friends describe a mother who wakes up every morning hoping for a call that never comes. A grandmother who keeps the lights on at night, in case they find their way home. The heartbreak is collective, but so is the promise. The RCMP has said time and again that no timeline will close this case until answers are found. Every search, every new analysis, every returned call, it's all for one purpose: to bring Lilly and Jack home. And so, as this chapter closes, one truth remains. The investigation isn't over. The search continues, driven not by headlines, but by humanity. Because somewhere out there lies the truth of what happened on that quiet May morning. And until that truth is found, no one, not the RCMP, not the families, not the community, will stop searching. For Lilly, for Jack, for answers. This is a heartbreaking moment in the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan. The latest RCMP findings bring pain, uncertainty, and even more questions. Lilly Sullivan, only 6 years old, and her younger brother Jack, just 4, disappeared from their home in Lansdowne Station, Pictou County, Nova Scotia, on May 2, 2025. It was a quiet Friday morning when the alarm was first raised, and what began as a community search quickly turned into one of the largest coordinated investigations in Atlantic Canada in recent memory. In the days that followed, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police mobilized every resource available. Search and rescue teams combed dense forest and farmland. Canine units tracked scent trails through rugged terrain. Helicopters and drones scanned from above, while divers explored the creeks and ponds surrounding the property. The terrain was unforgiving, a patchwork of woods, riverbeds, and open field, places where time and weather can hide crucial evidence. Community volunteers poured in by the hundreds. For days, the area echoed with the sound of searchers calling the children's names. Families donated food and water, local fire halls opened as coordination points, and social media groups spread maps and photos of Lilly and Jack across the country. Weeks turned into months. Every clue, every lead was examined. RCMP investigators collected video footage from security cameras, dash cams, and trail devices. They interviewed dozens of witnesses, cross-checked phone records, and built detailed timelines of the hours leading up to the disappearance. Despite the scale of the operation, no confirmed sighting was ever made. The absence of any trace deepened the mystery, and the ache of not knowing. As summer turned to autumn, one thing remained certain. The search for 2 missing children had become more than a police effort. It was now a collective plea for truth, for closure, and for hope. In late September 2025, after nearly 5 months of searching, the RCMP released the update that the community had feared but needed to hear. It wasn't a declaration of discovery, but rather a painful reminder of just how little was found. For the first time since May, specially trained cadaver detection dogs were deployed across roughly 40 kilometers of rugged land around Lansdowne Station. These dogs, handled by elite RCMP recovery teams, are among the most precise tools in modern search operations. Their mission was to detect even the faintest trace of human remains, the kind of evidence that could finally answer what happened to Lilly and Jack. The search areas were not random. They focused on key locations identified through months of analysis. The family property where the children vanished, the trails leading toward a nearby pipeline corridor, and a densely wooded area where a pink blanket, previously believed to belong to Lilly, had been discovered weeks earlier. For days, officers worked quietly, methodically, clearing section after section. But when the search concluded, the update broke hearts across the country. The cadaver dogs had not detected any human remains in any of the locations. RCMP investigators were careful to explain what this meant and what it didn't. The absence of detection, they said, does not definitively mean that no remains exist. Conditions such as terrain, scent dissipation, or weather could affect the dog's ability to locate evidence. But as of now, nothing was found. For families following the case, it was a devastating blow. The use of cadaver dogs signaled that this was no longer just a missing person search. It was a recovery operation. Yet, even that hope for closure had yielded nothing tangible. Still, the RCMP emphasized that the investigation remains open and active. The operation, they said, had helped eliminate specific search areas and refine future efforts. The work continues, but the silence in Lansdowne Station has never felt heavier. From the earliest hours of the search, the RCMP made it clear that this was not a routine missing persons case. The scope and complexity of their work reflected a desperate determination to uncover every possible truth about what happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. By June 2025, the investigation had expanded far beyond the borders of Lansdowne Station. Specialized RCMP units from across Nova Scotia and even from Ottawa joined the effort. Among them were members of the Major Crime Unit, Digital Forensic Services, and the National Center for Missing Persons and Unidentified Remains. Each group brought unique expertise, from analyzing phone and GPS data, to examining video footage, to reconstructing the children's final known movements. Dozens of people were interviewed, 54 individuals, according to reports. These included immediate family members, neighbors, friends, and anyone who may have seen or spoken to the children in the hours leading up to their disappearance. Some were asked to undergo polygraph examinations, a rare step that underscored the seriousness of the inquiry. Meanwhile, the RCMP's digital forensic team sifted through thousands of data files. More than 860 public tips had been submitted since May, and investigators had reviewed over 8,000 video files from dashcams, security systems, and nearby traffic cameras. Each image, each timestamp, was meticulously checked for signs of the children, their clothing, or any suspicious vehicle movements around that time. The investigation also extended to environmental analysis. Search specialists worked with local hydrologists to understand water flow patterns in nearby rivers and marshes, testing whether strong currents could have carried evidence away.